Well, when I was 18, I weighed about 175, and my first workout was probably in the low hundreds, maybe even lower than that. I don't remember exactly where I started because I also lifted in high school, but not doing starting strength. So low hundreds for squats. I can't even remember the bench press, probably 85 to 95. And I don't even think I pressed until I started starting strength. So really low, probably 45. All of it I started really, really low, just artificially. And then recently, so I was 18 when I first read starting strength and started starting strength. And now I'm 28, so 10 years later. I'm up to 220 body weight, which I'm very happy with. I don't feel like fat or anything. I don't know how I look on camera, but I don't feel like a fat guy. And my last squat workout was 465 for 2. Last deadlift was 560 for 2. Presses was 220 for 5, and my bench was 355 for singles. When I was in college, my freshman year, an older friend of mine, older being like 22. Showed me, he was telling me about this book, and he's like, you gotta read Starting Strength, and I was like, oh, okay. And at the time, because I'm 18, I'm consuming as much as I can of everything I'm doing, whether that's martial arts or reading about lifting. So I bought Starting Strength, I started reading it, and I'm a mechanical engineering student at the time, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is like college physics and college math, and not really math so much, but all the same ideas. And so I was just like, okay, this is a textbook on how to lift correctly. And so, like, as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, I'm doing this. It just immediately made sense. So I graduated with a mechanical engineering degree. I started working at a steel mill as an engineer. I'm lifting this whole time. I wanted to start coaching. I had coached Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a couple years. I'd coached gymnastics for 4 years. And I've always liked coaching. So I started doing that kind of part-time and just coaching my wife, which nobody should, if you should try it, but don't set your expectations too high in terms of how you might interact. You know, it's familiarity can breed contempt. I love my wife very much. Anyway, so I started coaching more, and I started realizing some of the limitations, and so I went to the Starting Strength seminar, and I was like, oh man, I'm missing a lot of this. And so I started getting better, and it just started ramping up, and honestly, it kind of got away from me. But I remember the like tipping point for wanting to go professional was I was training with a client of mine whose name is Lisa, and she has since not been a client of mine, but she had deadlifted something she had never deadlifted before, and she just was so happy that she did it. Like, I told her the weight, and she was like really? I can do that? And I was like, yeah, you just did it. That's what you just deadlifted. And just like the light in her eyes and how happy she was, and the back and knee pain that people don't have now because of the coaching I've done, it just means a lot to me. It means a lot more to me than making steel like 2 cents cheaper per ton, which is fine if you want to do that, but I really like what I'm doing now. So my preparation for the SSC test, first of all, have to go to the seminar just to watch. When I went, the opt-in was free, so I did it anyway. I got a lot of feedback on what I could have improved on, and so I worked on that. The second thing is the boards are really good to get training if you do not have access to a lot of clients. If you only have a couple clients, or maybe you're just coaching your friend, or you're just coaching your spouse or something, go on the boards, go on the technique section of the boards, look at what somebody has posted. Do not look at what any of the coaches have said yet. Look at the video, think what you think should be fixed, and then compare to what the SSCs say need to be fixed. And you'll see things that you didn't see. You'll look back and you go, oh, okay, I did see that now. So I've done a lot of that, especially when I didn't have a lot of clients. And even recently I've been doing it a lot too. Getting feedback from actual coaches in real time is really good. So Mia Inman and Brent Carter have been really helpful in helping me prepare for the seminar, for the testing for the credential. Mia specifically, I actually sent her a video of me training someone who had never lifted before, and she did a full rundown of all of that. That doesn't mean you need to contact Mia and ask her to do the same thing, but getting feedback from someone who already knows how to coach is really helpful. And you don't really have to second guess as much if you're watching yourself coach what you're doing right and wrong. They can just tell you what you're doing right and wrong, and then you can go back and work on it. So having feedback and then homework associated with that is really good.
Excellent.
I also just read a lot. I've read all of the Starting Strength posts, articles, and I've watched all the videos, and I've kind of consumed as much as I possibly can, and I've thought about all of the individual concepts and how I'm going to explain it to other people. The big thing that I got out of the coaching portion of the Starting Strength seminars was the 4 components of coaching, which is understanding the model, teaching the model, watching for deviation, and being able to communicate the correction. And I've tackled each of the 4 of those as much as I can, because you can't really move forward until you hit the kind of the precursor, the first part. If you don't even understand the model, you're not really going to be able to teach the model effectively. If you can't teach the model, you're not really going to be able to see what's wrong, especially if you don't understand the model. And if you can't do any of those 3 things, there's no way you're going to be able to communicate to the trainee what they need to do to fix the deviation from the model. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed my life. It's been a huge part of who I've become as a man and as a person. I don't really know how else to say that. I mean, it's everyone who's been doing Starting Strength for longer than like 6 months has had this experience. Like, it really changes how you view the world, and you're just able to do stuff that you couldn't do before. I do have a client who has become a very good friend of mine, Kendall. I wrote an article about him for the Starting Strength site, and he trains and coaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he went from, and I'm going to screw this up, but I think 159 to about 195 in the span of a couple months for body weight, and he added about 150 pounds or about 100 pounds to both his squat and his deadlift, and he still made progress even after that. And his ability to continue training and coach people without being in pain has been a big help to him.